What's going on, guys? Jacoborth back here with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas, talking to you guys about Las Vegas travel, traveling advice, vacation tips, all that kind of fun stuff for those of you looking to come to Vegas. And in this one, I want to talk about 3 things that are going to be important for you, especially if you are traveling internationally when you're coming to Las Vegas. So you're watching this video, you're in another country, this is going to be really important for you to remember when you're coming to Las Vegas. So 3 things I really want to hit on that, you know, the international tourists I've noticed seem to struggle with when they're foreigners traveling abroad here in Las Vegas. And the first one I'll talk about is you want to carry your ID with you everywhere you go. Okay, I've seen this a lot coming from somebody who's worked actually in nightlife a lot of times. I can't tell you how many times you get people who come, you know, to the front door of the place. They want to come in the building, they ask for their ID, and they're like, oh, well, we don't usually carry ID in the UK, or we usually don't carry ID in Brazil, or in India, or wherever you're from. Okay, here in America, I know to a lot of other countries it's a very American concept, like having to always have your ID on you. But in America, most people are just used to it, to carrying their ID with them all the time. I know a lot of other countries that's not the case. They're not quite as strict as we are here. You know, lots of times people can just, in other countries, like, you know, guys here from Australia, well, in Australia, we just go walk in the bar, we start drinking, right? Nobody really worries about it sometimes. So people have told me that. I've talked to a lot of you from other countries where they're just like, yeah, we're just not used to having to carry our ID with us, you know, everywhere we go. We just don't do it back home. So remember, when you're here in the good old US of A and you're here in Las Vegas, you want to have your ID on you, because you never know when you're going to need it. You're walking around, you never know when you're going to want to, you know, stop into a bar somewhere on the strip or off the strip or into a lounge. You decide to go out to a club that night, or if something happens, you know, maybe you have something where you have to go to the police for something, you have to file a report. They're going to want to see an ID. They want to get your information. They're going to have to be able to way to try to get in contact with you and verify who you are as a person. So carry your ID with you. I've seen numerous times where somebody wants to get into a club, a lounge, whatever the case may be, and they definitely look like they're old enough, but they get turned away because they don't have their ID. And the guy at the door is telling them, look, I got cameras right here watching me. I check everybody's ID. And it's not always an age thing. This is one that a lot of foreigners, a lot of international tourists, they go, well, what do you need to check for? Like, I'm clearly over 21. It's not always to check your age. Even if you're over 21, other things that happen with these establishments, they worry a lot about liability, and they want to be able to identify you if something happens. So if you slip, you injure yourself, if you drink too much, if you're involved in an altercation, whatever the case may be, and I'm sure, you know, most people are watching this and thinking, that would never be me, I would never do that, that would never happen. This is Vegas, you never know. You want to have your ID with you because the establishment is going to want to be able to identify you, okay? Because they may have to write a report on it. If they have to contact the police for some reason, for whatever may happen, they need to be able to identify you. They want to be able to know who you are. So carry your ID with you. The second thing that I'll talk about for the international tourists traveling is tipping. Oh man, this is one, this is another one. This is a very, very American concept, okay? When it comes to foreigners traveling here in the US, I've seen it so many times where they truly are just completely unfamiliar with the practice of tipping, because it's a very American practice. And here in Las Vegas, in this city, this is probably the strongest example of a tipping culture that you will find in the world. Okay, I've talked about this before. People from security guards to casino waitresses to you know, housekeepers, to maids, to people all over the place, to the people on the strip that are, you know, taking photos with you, right? All the people out there doing entertaining, they live off of their tips. There's a huge, huge, huge tipping culture here. So if you're traveling internationally, you're traveling from another country, take some time to learn about tipping. I have videos on this channel. I have a playlist about tipping that will teach you about tipping people here in Las Vegas. If you go to any website about traveling in Las Vegas, they will have a section about tipping in Las Vegas, and they will give you an idea of how to tip different people for different positions, whether it's, you know, a security guard at a club, or it's the dealer over at one of the tables in the casino, or it's a tip you want to leave for your housekeeping at the end of your stay, or whatever it is. There's videos and there's content all over the internet about how to tip in Las Vegas. What I've noticed is that people who come from English-speaking countries, so people who come visit from Canada, from Australia or from the UK or something like that, they're usually more familiar with the tipping culture, you know, because they can speak English, and so when they're reading about Las Vegas or they talk to the people, they usually have at least some idea of it. Even if they don't know how to do it, they at least have heard of it, they're kind of familiar with it. A lot of other countries though, you get a lot of people from the European countries, from the Asian countries, a lot of like Latin America. They just, you know, the concept of tipping is very, very foreign. There's also, you know, not just a cultural barrier, there's also a language barrier trying to communicate sometimes. So what I will say is take some time to learn about tipping, and then when it comes to tipping, if you're not sure, it's okay to tell them. Like, people who work in this city, who work in hospitality, believe me, they already know that people who travel from other countries usually don't know about tipping, and that they know that people from other countries generally don't tip very well because they don't know about it, or some of them just don't even care to make an attempt when they're here. So if you're not sure about tipping someone, say, you know, you're tipping a guy who's the bellman who brought the bags to your room, or whatever the case is, or a taxi driver, you can say, hey, you know, I'm not sure about tipping. I know you tip here in Vegas. I'm not sure if this is okay, but, you know, here's something, right? You know, people will do that sometimes, you know, and most people will be understanding because they know you're at least making an attempt. You're at least making an effort to tip someone for something, and say, I don't know if this is a good or bad, this is a lot, but, you know, here's something, right? You know, if you just make an effort, you show you're trying, and, you know, you show you took the attempt to learn about the culture, most people are going to be content. Because, you know, sometimes they know with the international tourists, with the travelers from foreign countries, they oftentimes are not expecting to get anything. They're not expecting anything at all. So if you give them something and you're from some other country, then they're probably going to be happy with it just because they got something they really were not expecting a whole lot. Now, the third thing that I will say, and this is one that I will say is important for anyone who is traveling internationally, of course. It's going to be kind of ironic because I'm doing this in English, but is you want to have, if you don't have the best English, or you don't really speak English very well at all, you really want to have some type of translation device with you. It never ceases to amaze me when I see people either traveling in a group or even if by themselves here in Las Vegas from another country and they cannot speak English. They speak no English. You know, I've seen a lot of times people from Asian countries, people who come from France, some of the other European countries, like the Eastern European countries, sometimes people from like Latin America will come and they can't speak English at all, and they don't even have a way to communicate with some type of device. So even if you just, you know, have a phone where your smartphone, you have a translation app on there, at least have that. At least use that, or if you have some other device you can use, because if you cannot communicate at all in English, then you really are vulnerable to getting taken advantage of financially here in this town. Because what can happen is, you know, you could go into some place and, you know, say, you know, you're with a taxi driver, right? A taxi driver, you get in the car, they see you don't speak English, they know you can't communicate, you are at much higher risk for them to long haul you. You try to just communicate what hotel you're going to, or you just pull out like your room card and show them like, you know, here, like take me here. They, oh yeah, okay. Dude, they may wind up going the wrong way on purpose, double backing all the way to come around, take you the long way so they can make more money, and they know you can't communicate, so you can't really say anything, because what they're doing is completely illegal. It's completely illegal for them to long haul you and take a longer way to get to your destination. It is 100% illegal. But if you can't communicate that, if you can't say anything to prevent it or stop it, then, you know, you're kind of in a really rough spot to be able to defend yourself. So if you at least have some kind of translation app to help communicate, or you know, something. If you have nothing at all, then you're really vulnerable. Or, you know, another position where somebody may overcharge you for something. I've seen it before. I've seen it happen with entertainers at some of the gentlemen's clubs, where they try to charge a higher price to the guy, or there's a couple different options. They just tell them the highest option. I mean, guy can't really speak, can't really communicate what's going on, so he just winds up paying it and going for it. So, you know, you're just more vulnerable. So if you are watching this and your English is, you know, so-so, you think your English is good, but it's not quite great, or if you know someone who's planning to come to Vegas in the future and their English is not very good, then you definitely want to relay this message to them. Please carry some type of translation device, even if it's just an app on your phone or some other device, so you can translate what you're trying to say. You can try to communicate with other people and at least have some way of being able to have verbal communication, because if you can't speak English at all, then you really are at a much higher risk of getting taken advantage of from people while you're out here on your vacation. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Those are my tips for you traveling from other countries here to Las Vegas to help try to keep you safe, try to help ensure you have a good time. Remember, you go to JacobslifeinVegas.com. We can get on the list there You get more deals in the future for those of you coming on your vacation here to Las Vegas. That's it for this video. I'm Jacob. This is My Life in Vegas.